Welcome to the meeting of the Board of Education of Somerset Hills. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that advance notice required therein has been provided. This is a meeting of the Board of Education of Somerset Hills, of which formal action may be taken. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda. Roll call, please. Mr. Baker. Here. Mrs. Clark Emery. Ms. Cooper. Mrs. DeGrafre. Here. Mrs. Brenda. Mr. Joyce. Here. Ms. Nathan. Here. Mrs. Tober. Here. Mrs. Rye. Here. And Mrs. Santora. Yes, here. Okay. Executive session. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act authorizes a public body to exclude the public from that portion of the meeting at which specified topics are to be discussed under circumstances where the public consideration of such topics will clearly endanger the public, or where the personal privacy or guaranteed rights of individuals whose activities or affairs are to be discussed would be clearly in danger of unwarranted invasion, and whereas the matters about to be presented for discussion clearly meet the circumstances test of such act. Resolved that the Board of Education of Somerset Hills now adjourns its public session to reconvene an executive session for the purpose of discussing the following: personnel, student matters, contracts, negotiations, and litigation. Can I have a motion to move into executive? All right, Bob, after the second. Okay, thanks.
I gotta get
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the meeting of the Somerset Hills School District Board of Ed. We've just come out of executive. Yes, okay. So, if everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can I roll call, Mr. Mr. Baker?
Here.
Mrs. Clark Emery? Here. Ms. Cooper? Here. Mrs. DeGrafre? Here. Mrs. Brenda? Mr. Joyce?
Here.
Ms. Nathan? Here. Mrs. Tober? Here. Mrs. Rye? Here. And Mrs. Santora? Here. Okay, before moving into the report of the superintendent, I have a statement. At the last board meeting, in the reading of minutes of a committee report, the name of a SHAE member was mentioned in connection with an issue related to facilities. This was inadvertent and not at all intended to be a reflection of the staff member. The board apologizes and regrets the incident and has put measures in place to ensure that this will not happen again. Thank you. And with that, we can move into the report of the superintendent.
Thank you, Mrs. Santora. I am happy to kick us off with our middle school representatives who are here this evening. Noah and David are joining us. You gentlemen can step up to the podium and give the board and the public a sense of what's going on at EMS.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Noah Fuller and I am in 7th grade. I'm in orchestra as well as the boys soccer team. By the time the concert came around, everyone felt prepared, and that confidence was certainly shown in their performance. The concert was an extremely successful one, and everyone who took part in the concert played a huge role in this massive achievement, and we are all proud of our performance. Last week, the annual Pajama Drive also took place. This was the 13th annual Great Story Pajama Drive. Anyone who donated pajamas was greatly appreciated and welcome to take part in the Pajama Drive last Friday night. The Pajama Drive was also an enormous success, and so many students were willing to generously and kindly donate pajamas to such a great cause. Over 100 pajamas were donated. For every pajama pair donated, the Scholastic Book Club donates a book to the Pajama Drive project as well. Now I'm going to pass it over to my friend David.
My name is David Wincher, and I'm in 7th grade jazz band and orchestra. I love music, whether it's playing it, listening to it, or creating it. This carries its way over to BMS's musical programs, and more specifically, jazz band. Jazz band is such a fun group to be a part of, and I love practicing with them every week. Each and every member brings life to the band, and the unique, fun, and jazzy music that we practice only adds on to that. All of the effort and amazing spirit that each member pours into the band comes together to form such a fun and amazing group. Bernard's is known for its variety of different fundraisers, the food drives, the clothing fundraisers, and most recently, the coat drive. So many people don't have enough money to afford coats that help them stay warm during the long winter months. This is why it's so important that these people get the protection they need from the unforgiving cold. This fundraiser, just like so many others conducted in the district, was a huge help to people in need. Over 100 coats were donated. Thanks so much to all that donated their coats to those who are less fortunate. Another exciting event that has been taking place at BMS these past few days is the decorating of our study hall room doors. Every study hall is using a variety of different decorations with an assortment of festive colors. This is a wonderful way to show the students' creativity to get BMS decorated for the holidays, and is overall super fun activity. Each and every door is unique, with all the students' effort and imagination put into each design. I can't wait to see them when they're all finished. One last thing of note is the district-wide theme week that is taking place next week. Make sure to wear blue for Hanukkah on Monday and your favorite ugly sweater on Friday. What a wonderful way to celebrate Hanukkah. Thank you.
Thanks, David. You guys did a great job. How about Max and Audrey? I think they are here from the high school.
Good evening. My name is Audrey Panic, and this is Max and Lucas, and we are your student representatives from Bernard High School. Thank you for giving us your time and attention tonight. We, along with the rest of the student body, greatly appreciate it. At the end of last month, the Bernard High School National Honor Society held their annual blood drive. Students ages 16 and older had the opportunity to donate their blood during a free period to local patients in need. Students received an hour of community service in exchange for their participation. Last Thursday, the BHS choir performed in their annual winter concert, and the band/orchestra concert took place on Tuesday. The BHS choral and band programs will also perform during an in-school concert, taking place next Friday. Students from all grade levels, along with staff, will attend the assembly. Next Thursday, the BHS Madrigals will perform at Bernardsville Middle School and Bedminster Township School in order to introduce younger students to the music program here at Bernard. In order to get students in the holiday spirit during these final few weeks before winter break, the Class of 2023 Student Council is selling candy cane grams for $2 per card. Students and teachers will have the chance to write a message to the recipient of the candy gram, and each customer will receive a candy cane. Many school organizations have been hosting card-making events for students, with the Key Club decorating digital holiday cards for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and the Girl Up Club creating self-love cards to remind students to take care of their mental health during this stressful season.
Last month was the school's fall drama, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. The play went very well, receiving lots of positive feedback from those who went to support the students. Overall, it was a wonderful experience, and the students did a great job portraying such a difficult topic. In the same vein, auditions for the spring musical, the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, are being held next Tuesday, December 20th. Students are asked to prepare 30 to 60 seconds of a contemporary musical theater song and will be asked to perform a monologue at auditions. We also recently had 2 field trips at Bernard's, the first being the art classes field trip to the Met, and the other being the Madrigal's Caroling Day. Both trips went smoothly, and students were glad to be going back on field trips for the first time in 3 years. To close our update, we wanted to inform the board of a few recent feelings of the student body regarding the decision to no longer offer extra help outside of working hours. Students are no longer able to visit their teachers before school, after school, or during lunch for additional help with classwork. All questions, corrections, and makeup exams must be carried out within working hours. As these changes are being put into place, many students have expressed feelings of concern, worried that their grades will suffer without the option of extra help. This especially affects AP students who no longer have access to after-school AP review sessions as well as the entire BHS math department, as the math lab and after-school extra help session dedicated to all math levels has been placed on hold. As students of Bernards High School, we ask that you consider a way to negotiate a clause within the new contract that accounts for extra help. Without our teachers going above and beyond with late-night test prep sessions, Zoom review meetings, and extra help in the mornings, our students would not be able to achieve the same level of success that is present now.
We also wanted to take this time to thank the teachers and staff at BHS. Your hard work and dedication continue to inspire us to try our best and achieve our goals. We deeply appreciate all you do for the students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Audrey. Appreciate your message. Next, we are rolling on to recognize our Educators of the Year. We are always thrilled to be able to do this in person. It makes it a little bit more special. And this evening, we do not only have the recipients of these awards, but we have our principals here to share. So we will kick it off with Dr. Nigel and the high school.
Thank you. I'd like to call Dr. Jennifer Miranda. I'm pleased to announce the 2022-2023 Governor's Educator of the Year for Bernards High School. Dr. Jennifer Miranda has been a school psychologist at Bernards High School since 2015. Dr. Miranda exemplifies the qualities of an exceptional educator. She always goes above and beyond the call of duty when it comes to meeting the needs of our students. Furthermore, she's willing to lend a helping hand in various capacities in the district. Gracious, unassuming, kind, and professional, Dr. Miranda assists with any and all situations and crises and emergencies that happen almost daily. She is a tremendous advocate for all students, but specifically our ELL population, going into classes to share resources and let students know how to get in touch with them. Many students reach out to her for assistance or if they need someone who can listen to their concerns. Dr. Miranda is a true team player who collaborates well with colleagues to provide programming for students. She works diligently to offer fun and creative activities to promote student wellness and self-care. Furthermore, she is a warm, caring individual whose door is always open to listen to a student or colleague in need. From decorating pumpkins and kindness rocks, to stress ball creation and candy giveaways, Dr. Miranda is always looking for ways to make students feel a sense of belonging and connectedness while getting them involved in the school community. Her expertise as a school psychologist and her ability to connect with our Spanish-speaking population are examples of strength that make her the outstanding individual that she is. She works tirelessly to explore other ways to improve the guidance department, student programming, and school culture and climate. BHS is truly fortunate to have this year's Educator of the Year, Dr. Jennifer Miranda. Congratulations.
Next up, Ms. Garofalo from the
Good evening. It is with great pleasure that I would like to invite Mrs. Pat McMillan. Mrs. Pat McMillan has been a teacher at Bernards Middle School since 2002. She has taught English language arts in grades 5, 6, 7, and 8. In addition to her teaching resume, Mrs. McMillan served as the Bernards High School boys assistant tennis coach and the head coach from 2015 to 2022. Under Mrs. McMillan's direction, the boys tennis team won the state title in 2022. There is simply nothing that Mrs. McMillan can't do. To quote from one of her nominating letters, since Mrs. McMillan's time here in the Somerset Hills School District, she has proven herself as a respected educator and a flexible team player who consistently and enthusiastically performs her duties each day. And enthusiasm is the perfect word to describe Mrs. McMillan. She is enthusiastic about her content and, most importantly, her students. She makes each one feel valued and reaches out and connects with them long after their time is spent at BOS. She is tireless in her commitment to education and truly an exemplar of the phrase, service above self. Thank you so much for everything, Mrs. McMillan.
Good evening, everyone. I would first like to call up Mrs. Jill Roll. Mrs. Roll is beyond deserving of this recognition. She demonstrates a great rapport with all the stakeholders of Bedwell. She cares deeply for each of her students, and she supports every one of her colleagues and makes all parents a valued part of their child's support team. It is an honor to see her work with children in and around the Bedwell and Somerset Hills School District community. She does everything with fidelity and ensures that her students have fun while they progress towards all of their learning goals. She doesn't leave any stone unturned and makes sure that all of her students have a unique experience every time they come into her room. She works hard to ensure that every student has something fun and exciting, and that every second of her time with each child is used effectively and purposefully. She spends a tireless amount of time working together with her colleagues to support students both within her classroom and in other classroom settings. Because of this, her students grow and are successful in all areas of their school day. If there is a gap or something that is needed, Mrs. Roll is quick to respond and ensures that appropriate modifications are made to ensure the success of every student and myself too. Mrs. Roll serves the students of Bedwell with a smile and enthusiasm that is unmatched. She is a great representative of Bedwell as the Educational Support Professional of the Year. Congratulations, Mrs. Roll. And now I would like to call up Mrs. Jamie Jager. Mrs. Jamie Jager serves as one of our resource room teachers here at Bedwell Elementary School. To know Mrs. Jager is to know a teacher who is completely dedicated to her craft. She is extremely talented and knowledgeable, particularly in the areas of literacy instruction. Mrs. Jager tirelessly seeks new knowledge and understanding within her area of expertise, often attending professional development sessions and purchasing materials out of her own pocket. She does not do this because she has to. She does this because she wants to. Mrs. Jager is a champion for both students and teachers, and she has helped to shift the common understanding of effective reading instruction at Bedwell School. In my short time at Bedwell, I've been extremely impressed by everything that I see from Mrs. Jager. The knowledge and resources that Mrs. Jager has shared with the staff, myself, her students, other people's students has been invaluable. And she is a key stakeholder in helping us to rebalance literacy. Bedwell is so lucky to have you as an educator. Congratulations, Mrs. Jager.
At this point, are here to talk about the results of the recent NJEA assessment.
Good evening, everyone. It will be just as exciting. Tonight, we are presenting New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment Data, NJGPA. This test was administered first time last spring in March 2022.
Before we start talking about the actual data and the test itself, I just want to bring everybody's attention to the fact that it was a field test. In July 2022, after the test was administered, our Governor Murphy signed a bill saying that this test will be considered field test. That also means that for the current class of 2023, there will be no graduation assessment reform. So this test was basically a practice test, and the results of this test will not be used for students as a prerequisite for graduation, nor there will be a second pathway or third pathway. Again, it only applies to current seniors and probably will not be the case for current juniors. Results, this test result, consideration of using this test results will be for us to review curriculum programming to see if we see some areas that we can pay more attention to. We're also looking at potential focus area in the pacing. We're looking at possibly going to concentrate on some special groups of students. The test itself is designed to measure the extent to which students are graduation ready in English language arts and mathematics. Graduation readiness is reported separately for each content component. The test itself is very, very similar to NG's law. In fact, ELA component is former NG's law for grade 10, and mathematics component is former Algebra 1 and geometry test kind of jammed together. Results were mailed home about a month ago, so I haven't seen these results. Again, that doesn't particularly go anywhere, it's just for our informational purposes. And just the last comment, the NGHB partially replaces NJ's law as it used to be administered grades 10 and 11. So this component is not there anymore, although 9th graders still will be taking NJ's law in May. So 9th graders will be taking NJ's law in May in ELA, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2 as end-of-year test, and 11th graders will be taking the graduation proficiency assessment in ELA and mathematics. And the science is separate, also in grade 11. And we can move on to results. We do not have all the comparison to state data as it wasn't released yet, but we have general averages. You can see that in the ELA, graduation ready. So the difference between this test and NJ's law, instead of 5 different levels, there's only really 2 levels. Students either deemed graduation ready or not quite yet ready. So the pass rate in ELA for us is about 60%, while the state keeps it at 39.4%, and in mathematics it's 73.2%, with the state slightly under 50%. So we have been over 20% above state level. Although it's interesting to notice that usually ELA is higher than math, and in this case it's flip-flop. I'm very happy. It's probably not going to stay like this. This is really a function of how the cutoff was determined by a group of educators on the state level. But this is interesting. And more details.
Bit of bang up introduction. So here you see, this is the subgroup breakdown of the assessment data. So if you recall from our last data presentation, we are mandated to report on subgroups that have 10 or more students in them. If we have a population that has less than that, we do not put that out publicly to protect the identities of students. One important thing to note is that within the ethnicity and race bands, you won't have any overlap across groups. The same in other subgroups. However, across those two other subgroups and into ethnicity and race, we could have crossover of students. So an individual student could fall into economically disadvantaged and the Asian category. So that's just something to think about when we're looking at our numbers. You see the number of valid test scores that we're talking about. So when you're looking at percentages,
make sure we're noticing that sometimes we're looking at only 14 students, so a percentage that could seem really high might only be 1 student or 2 students, so when you're looking at it that way. Yes.
Thank you. And a very similar slide for mathematics. You can see that proportionally it's very similar pattern. Again, we see the highest passing rate of Asian students, and again, similar pattern, a little bit low for whites, a little bit low for Hispanics. And then we can see students with disabilities and disadvantage and English language learner with smaller percentages. Unfortunately, we do not have those percentages from the state to compete with. Yeah, and one more notice when we talk about English language learners, those are the students who are still actively in the program. So it's not all the students who are learning English, it's the students who really just started learning it. They still in the program, they did not exit it. And this is all.
I did one other, I recall what I wanted to say, that we did notice, Olga and I noticed, similarities across the tests that we looked at when we had NJSLA to NJGPA. Our numbers were comparable. So that was another notice that we had. And next steps are very similar to what we noted with NJSLA. We're looking to continue to expand the implementation of reliable formative assessments. As mentioned before, we've had a lot of success with iReady in K-8. Newly, we have Common Lit, which is a benchmark assessment in English at the high school that many of the teachers have found helpful in looking at where their students are and what their students need. And I know in the high school we're looking at iReady, again, bringing that up as well in mathematics. An additional thing is to identify potential focus areas in prep for NJGPA coming up in March. So we've had meetings with our departments where we're looking at the data and we're naming out what are areas that we're doing really well that we can continue to expound upon, and then what are areas where we didn't perform as great or as much as we would want, and what can we do to address that as we're coming up to March. We're 3 months out or so at this point. Additionally, thinking about our ELL population, continuing to think about and have trainings for the SIOP instructional method, and then also to continue to develop additional summer and extended day programming using funds that we've received from COVID relief. That's everything from us.
Update this. Thank you. Next month, I think Olga and Lindsay are coming back for what may be their final tour of the year, but we're always glad to see you. Mr. Gomberg, did you want to recognize the retirement?
Whereas Joseph Laspada has been employed from September 1975 through April 2023 as a teacher, and whereas he exemplified expertise, commitment, and professionalism in his duties, and now therefore be it resolved that the Somerset Hills School District and Board of Education recognize Joseph Laspada's retirement effective April 1st and extend him congratulations and best wishes for a happy, healthy, and enjoyable retirement.
And Mrs. Santos, that concludes my response.
Thank you for all that, and congratulations to all our staff for their teacher and professional services awards. It's always so nice to have that presentation, and as always, our students and Dr. Edgerton and Ms. Barna. It's always lovely to have you. We thank you. I know you provide a lot of details, so thank you very much. Public comments. We very much welcome input from the public. Public comments are welcome at this time on any actionable agenda item. Towards the end of the meeting, there is a second public forum comments are limited to 3 minutes, but an individual may speak a second time after all others who wish to speak on the topic have been heard. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board feels that there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent may address the comment. In accordance with New Jersey statute, the board will not discuss matters regarding specific personnel. Public comments will be limited to 30 minutes, and we appreciate your input. Ms. DeMarco will be the timekeeper, and we'll let you know when you have 30 seconds left. And we just ask as always that everyone be respectful of all comments. Okay, if there's no public comment on actionable agenda items, we can move on to approval of, I'm sorry, can I have a motion to close public comment? Nicole? Second. Okay, approval of minutes. Can I have a motion? Any discussion? Mrs. Wright? Yes. Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mrs. Clark Allen? Yes. Ms. Cooper? Yes. Mrs. D. Grunford?
Yes.
Mr. Joyce?
Yes.
Ms. Nathan?
Yes.
Mrs. Tober?
Yes.
And Mrs. Santoro? Yes. Motion carried. All right, we'll move into committee reports. Mr. Baker?
The Finance Committee met last Wednesday, December the 7th, for 45 minutes. 5 board members were in attendance, and we had administrators, Dr. Dempsey and Dr. Butler and Mrs. DeMarco there too. We discussed 5 items. The first item was the residency verification update, and we're happy to announce that we have concluded our residency verification update. It's taken us over a year, I think, from when we started. It's a laborious process, but it's necessary to do that. Going forward, we're going to do this on a 3-year basis. The committee felt we should continue doing 2 years. However, the board should understand that when students are enrolled into Bedwell, into middle school and high school, their residency is checked each time when they start those schools, even when they transfer. And of course, anybody who moves to town, it's done that way too. We also are looking at people who rent, and we are keeping track of their rental agreements. So if we check somebody this year and their rental agreement expires, let's say next October, we would want to verify that they have extended the rental agreement or they moved to another place. So it was a worthwhile exercise. We were able to verify everybody who is here supposed to be. We did find some people who were not supposed to be, and they have left. So that's good news. The second item we talked about was the curriculum spreadsheet that Dr. Dempsey has had the curriculum department put together. It shows what items we need to purchase this coming year to keep our curriculum up to date, whether it's software, books, programming, anything that's going to cost money. So we have that in our hands, and then there's another section which is moderate, and those would be something we would purchase the year after, and then there's low items. So it gives us a snapshot where we stand in our curriculum purchases. So this is an important document when we do the budget, which, as you all know, we're going to start doing. It's the budget next month, and we have to get the budget done by April. The next item we talked about was the audit. The audit is done. The auditors are still waiting for some state guidance on new procedures to put into the audit, like when if you lease a bus or you lease copiers, you need to have that displayed in the audit correctly. And we'll get a final exit interview with them soon. And the board should see the audit by February, and we hope so. We will get that. And the rough financial show that we're in good shape, and we think we can use the money from last year to help fund projects and the budget going next year, which you all know is going to be a very difficult budget. Everything is costing more. Our health care is up. Everything that we buy and purchase is more expensive. So this could be one of the hardest budgets we've done in a long time. Next item we talked about was transportation, as we always do. Last time we talked about that here. And we're thinking of, since some of our school buses are coming off their lease, and some of them are much, and our older buses are in bad shape, that we should lease like one or two more. And a 30-passenger bus would be a good size to get. It's very flexible. Most of the buses are either 54 passengers or 24. This would be like in the middle. So Mrs. DeMarco is going to see what all this is going to cost, but 30-passenger bus would be $100,000, and or if you purchased it, or it would be $20,000 a year on a 5-year lease. So we're going to use all her data she's got looking at the budget for transportation, because transportation is one of our largest spends on the budget after salaries and healthcare. The last one we talked about was our budget calendar, and basically what that is, we're going to start putting together a draft budget next month at a finance meeting, and we're going to present it to the public in a draft form on our meeting on March the 15th. And then we will have a public hearing on April the 26th, and then we will adopt it after that. And so that's the timeline. So we basically have the next 5 months to get this done. And the board will be receiving a lot of information between now and then. That's what we discussed, and I'd like to move action items 1 through 9. There's a couple on, there's 1 through 10. There's 2 on the addendum. Do I have a second? Okay. Anybody have any questions on what we discussed? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mrs. Quacken? Yes. Ms. Cooper? Mrs. DeGranford? No. Mr. Joyce? Yes. Ms. Nathan? Yes. Mrs. Tober? Yes. Mrs. Rye? Yes. And Mrs. Santora? Yes. Motion carried.
Facilities and operations also met on December 7th. We met for 1 hour, and all members of the committee were in attendance. In addition, Dr. Dempsey and Butler were there, as was Mrs. DeMarco, and Mr. Schwartz came to report to us. He informed the committee on the state of the district's technology initiatives in terms of security, network, and systems needs. He is focused on improving the stability and performance of our systems, and he is to be commended for that. Some needs have been pushed into next year's budget, and some missing items in that list are related to supply chain problems. Significant strides have been made in terms of decreasing our vulnerability to ransomware attacks, and an important priority for next year will include addressing gaps in Wi-Fi and cell phone coverage. We are looking into replacing Chromebooks, and they happen to be nearing the end of their shelf life. We also received a strategic plan update on the turf replacement and the BMS Media Center. In terms of turf replacement, Specifications are being finalized before we go out to bid. The bid will likely go out in early January. In terms of the media center, it needs to be noted that the media center projects have been split into two projects due to the separate funding sources. The HVAC upgrade, which is the rooftop unit for the media center and 4 additional classrooms on the second floor at BMS, will be funded by ARP ESSER 3 grants. And we also talked about the media center renovation. The timeline for the bid process for both of those projects was discussed, and we hope to award the contracts and have them both approved by January. We will meet again on January 18th, 2023 at 4 p.m. I would like to move action items 1 through 2. May I have a second? Ian? Is there any discussion? Yes. Mrs. DeMarco?
There's no action items on that. The board approved the going out to bid of the project specs at the last board meeting, so the resolution on there. Today there's no action items on the chart. So the bidding process has started. We went out to bid. We advertised for 10 business days, and I believe they had a contractor's spec meeting at the site. I believe the same day we had our F&O meeting, and the bid opening is on the 21st, which is next Wednesday, where they are submitting all their bids, and we'll have the opening at Oak.
Thank you, Mrs. DeMarco. Any other discussion? May I have a motion to close discussion? Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Clark-Henry? Yes. Ms. Cooper? Yes. Mrs. DeBrucker? No. Mr. Joyce?
Yes.
Ms. Nathan?
Yes.
Mrs. Tover? Yes. Mrs. Rye?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
And Mrs. Sanford? Yes. Motion carries.
The curriculum committee met on Tuesday, December 6th for an hour and a half. All board members were in attendance along with Dr. Dempsey, Dr. Butler, Ms. Barna, and Dr. Edgerton. We started the meeting with Ms. Barna and Dr. Edgerton's presentation on the results of the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment for 2021 to 2022 that we just heard. I just want to thank both of them for being here tonight for their presentation. And after they presented the results during our committee meeting, we discussed how these results will be used in future years when the test is no longer considered a field test. Next, we transitioned into a discussion about how iReady results have been and are being shared with the families of Bedwell and BMS students. Traditionally, iReady results have only been shared with parents upon request. Now, Dr. Edgerton and Ms. Barna are exploring ways to share these data with parents in a more systematic fashion. Given the level of detail in these reports and the fact that parents may require some knowledge about the platform and the assessments to be able to interpret them, the team agreed that it might be best to proactively share these results with all parents in Bedwell and BMS in January, in conjunction with some education about the platform. They proposed holding a curriculum night in January during which administrators can share information about the platform and explain how to interpret the results of its assessments. Next, Dr. Butler reviewed considerations regarding the 2023 to 2024 calendar, including the fact that Labor Day is relatively early in the year. It's on a Monday, September 4th. She also indicated that the testing coordinator recommended against holding spring break in March because of the NJ GPA, the test that we just discussed, will be administered during the 2 middle weeks in March. Given the board's previous discussions regarding the benefits of March spring break and interest in exploring different start dates, the board agreed that Dr. Butler should move forward with the draft calendar for 2023-2024 and that the administration should survey district families about their preferences for future calendars later in the year. Dr. Butler then reviewed the results of a recent survey she administered regarding the interest and needs of the
staff regarding professional development. Of the topics considered, 80% of teachers who responded said they would benefit from additional professional development in supporting the needs of students with mental health challenges, and 76% said they are interested in additional professional development in supporting needs of English language learners. Additional topics of interest for professional development included how to support the needs of students with behavioral challenges, content area specific education, and how to support the needs of economically disadvantaged students, students with IEPs, and LGBTQ plus students. We then moved on to a discussion of Dr. Dempsey's analysis of the rates of students receiving disciplinary interventions at EMS and BHS before and after the pandemic in the context of disproportionality. Data from before the pandemic were from 2018 to 2019, and post-pandemic data were from last year, 2021 to 2022. Dr. Dempsey analyzed discipline data by race, ethnicity, socioeconomic level, special education status, and ELL status. Note that socioeconomic data from 2021 to 2022 were not deemed reliable because they are based on data on students receiving free and reduced lunches, and that all students in 2021-2022 were eligible for free lunches that year. Each student involved in this disciplinary incident was counted once, regardless of the number of times they had experienced disciplinary consequences, regardless of the magnitude of the infraction. These data are particularly important because disciplinary incidents are disruptive and can signal a breakdown in the student's environment. Dr. Dempsey reported several key findings. First, after the pandemic, a disproportionate fraction of incidents requiring disciplinary responses occurred among Hispanic students. English language learners, special education students, and students eligible for free and reduced lunch at both the middle school and the high school. The number of students involved in disciplinary incidents rose 60% at the high school and more than doubled it at the middle school after the pandemic. Increases in disciplinary incidents over time varied by school and subgroup, and the rate of increase varied by subgroup, with Hispanic students experiencing the highest rate of increase. Although students identifying as male made up about 50% of the student population at both schools, these students accounted for 70 to 79% of disciplinary incidents at both schools. The committee expressed significant concern about the increase in the number of students, or the fraction of students receiving disciplinary interventions, particularly in certain subgroups, and recognized the urgency of addressing this important issue. Dr. Dempsey offered several recommendations to address these trends. First, she recommended additional monitoring and outreach by ensuring that every school is not only recording discipline carefully, but also monitoring individual discipline patterns and sharing these patterns with the administrative team and the parent community to promote a common understanding. She also recommended that our ARP-funded work around tiered systems of support include discipline data considerations, and that the district develop a discipline data dictionary or taxonomy to be used by all IRNS and RTIT to promote a deeper understanding of discipline-related challenges. In addition, she emphasized the need to meet with parents and to create documented discipline plans for students where discipline patterns are a concern, to analyze discipline across genders and subgroups, to inform response mechanisms, and to analyze discipline across specific types of incidents to gain further understanding about how to prevent these incidents, and to continue to explore alternatives to exclusionary discipline. After our discussion regarding the discipline data, Dr. Dempsey presented the curriculum master document, which Bob discussed in his report. And this document ranks the urgency to purchase and replace texts and resources needed for particular courses. The administration designated the need for replacement or procurement as high for 13 resources across 3 schools, and this would cost for approximately $150,000. Finally, to replace those key resources. Finally, the committee reviewed and approved all professional development and field trip requests. And that concludes my report. I'd like to move items 1 through 4 on the agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Before I take roll call, this is Clark Emery. I wanted to clarify. I just realized I gave you the answer for the media center project when you asked about the turf. So the status of the turf is the engineers had come out and done the survey, and the architects are doing the specification of the project, and they're verifying with the athletic director, the principal, and the facilities director on what sports to strike for and all those kinds of details. Once that is done, they'll go out for bid in January meeting. They'll advertise in 3 different newspapers and allows the contractors to submit their proposal based on what the architects specify. And we hope to award that contract, I would say, in February at the earliest. That is our target date. And the project of the construction will remain the same. It'll be the summer. Sorry about that. I got confused in my head. Now to roll call. Ms. Cooper? Mrs. DeGrambray?
Yes.
Mr. Joyce?
Yes.
Ms. Nathan?
Yes.
Mrs. Tober? Mrs. Rudd?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mrs. Clark Emery? Yes. And Mrs. Santora? Yes. Motion carries.
Personnel and policy. I'll start with policy because that's easier. We had no Strauss Esme updates and no specific community relations to discuss in terms of policy, so we did meet regarding personnel on December 8th at 4 p.m. for about 45 minutes. All board members were in attendance, as well as Dr. Butler and Ms. Mean. We did have a discussion and an update on the recruitment of open positions, as well as full-time, for leave coverage, as well as paraprofessionals. That also was brought up in terms of community relations. So it was a lengthy discussion in terms of the open positions and what we're doing to try and to recruit for them. We did talk about how it is challenging to fill them right now because there are so many tenure track positions that are available in so many districts. So teachers do seem to be going for those positions rather than leave replacement positions. We are trying to be as strategic as we can in terms of recruiting and looking in as many ways as possible to be in the recruiting space and as competitive as we can be in terms of that. In addition to that, we also talked about substitutes and trying to recruit for substitutes. We talked also in terms of community relations with that and about how now recent high school graduates, I believe it's if they've finished their sophomore year, can apply to be substitutes if they want, and how if parents are looking for things for their children to do and they have an interest in education, they could start that process early and maybe they would be able to help us in the spring or at next year's Christmas break to help fill any gaps if we still have any at that time. So we're trying to be as creative as we can to get as much help into the schools as possible. I believe that is the extent of what we talked about. So with that, I would like to move items 1 through 24 on the agenda. Do I have a second? Do we have any discussion?
Now, I would just like to take a moment and welcome Dr. Bernari, who is on our agenda this evening, and thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Roll call?
Mrs. DeGrambray?
Yes.
Mr. Joyce?
Yes.
Ms. Nathan?
Yes.
Mrs. Tober? Mrs. Rudd?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mrs. Clark Emery?
Yes.
Ms. Cooper? And Mrs. Santora?
Yes.
Motion carries. Dr. Bernari, if there's anything at this time that you would like to say, you're welcome to, as we just approved you.
And I just want to say thank you to the board, and it's very nice to meet you. I really look forward to working with everyone, and I'm hoping that in the time between now and February when I join the schedule, that we'll have a chance to collaborate with the seniors and thank you so much for meeting on
where Dr. Murray is going to be our interim superintendent and work with our district until we complete the process to find our next successful superintendent. So, again, thank you for coming, and we appreciate it. We look forward to working. Okay, so we don't need to do policy, and we will move on to public comments. Public comments are welcome at this time on any topic. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name and address. We appreciate your input, and again, Mrs. DeMarco will keep time, and just let me know when you have 30 seconds. Oh, Mrs.
Good evening. My name is Mike Long. I'm at 22 Crest Drive in Burnsville. Thank you to the board. I appreciate an opportunity to speak. I just want to speak a little bit on, it was mentioned earlier about the turf and the bids that are being issued hopefully in the near future for replacement of the turf. I just want to speak on that topic a little bit. Some of you know me, some of you have seen me here before. I'm the co-president of the Somerset Hills football program, as well as the vice president of the lacrosse program. Our 2 local programs provide athletics for hundreds and hundreds of children and hundreds of families in Burnsville and in the school district. They're both K through 8, so the youngest all the way up until 8th grade. And I've been coaching in this town for years, as have others here. We just want to give our support to the board's efforts to try to explore and hopefully follow through on the replacement of the turf field. The turf that's here has been here for 15 years. It served us well, but it clearly needs to be replaced. There's a shortage of fields in this town. We're not a very flat town, we're rather hilly, so there's limitations on where you can put them. And we have a growing youth community. We've seen it every year. It gets harder and harder to find places to put children just to go out there and play. So we're asking that be taken very seriously in advance. Everybody, I think, knows that there's been a long history of issues with the turf. I don't necessarily need to go over all that today. I think those are behind us. But I also want to put in a plug, some support for lights. The lights have also been an issue over the years, although I think technology has improved incredibly. There are high efficiency and high output options that are LED, and they're directional in such a way that they don't bleed out to the sides into the neighboring into the neighborhood in the ways that lights did 10 and 20 years ago. And so while the turf is being replaced, it would make a lot of sense to explore and to install a lighting system that could properly support the sports that the kids in this town play. Football, soccer, field hockey, lacrosse. If you go to a football game, the lights that are there, they are barely adequate, and they're supplemented by temporary lights. They're barely adequate to play a football game. But if you do a little study and talk to a consultant, you'll understand they're completely inadequate for a sport of lacrosse, and I think inadequate for other sports as well. Adding lights increases the usability of the fields. More kids can be able to use them, more community activities that are not even sports related. The band can practice at different hours. So there's all sorts of benefits that come from having a properly equipped and repaired and lit field. So I just want to make sure that that support was put on the record here today, and hopefully you'll be seeing more of us. Thank you.
Thank you for the work you do in the community. I do just want to point out that lights are on our strategic plan, and they are on, let me say, the board is going to be looking into the viability of improving lights on Alcott Field. It is in the strategic plan that we developed last year, and that work will begin early next year. So I appreciate it, and it is definitely something that we've heard the community on. As you know, there's a long history, so the first step for this current sitting board is just to determine what's happened in the past and then the viability going forward. So I just wanted to make sure you are aware it is on the strategic thing.
John Donahue, 16 South Street. I just wanted to take the occasion of the appointing interim superintendent to hope to hear from the board a public discussion of what the district's priorities should be when looking for a new superintendent. And I'd suggest that our academic rankings be one of them, as measured by grade school. school and AP scores because we lag all the districts around us, and that's really unacceptable. We got to create a culture of transparency and accountability. I mean, and hearing the student speaker talk about no extra help available after school, which is very concerning to AP students, it affects us. It affects them. It affects our rankings. So, I mean, it's got to be your top priority when you look at it. I hope the board, you take some leadership of this. I don't see a lot of leadership coming from you guys. Stand there a few of you, but most of you are more or less tree stumps up there. The other thing that we need to consider is to de-emphasize the focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, because that basically looks for a common denominator and keeps a tight central tendency around it. You really have to create a culture of achievement and aspiration where accolades are accrued with merit. I really get the feeling where people are more concerned about who somebody is versus what they can do and give them a chance to do it. So, please keep those things in mind. And I'd love to hear the board speak about this in public in a kind of free-flowing conversation. So this is way too scripted. I've been doing this long enough that we need some leadership from you for a change. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, Jessica Collins, 11 Schley Road. I'm also a second grade teacher at Bedwell. Speaking on the issue of recruitment of paraprofessionals, I just wanted to quickly say at Bedwell, we've lost 4 amazing paraprofessionals just in September. All of whom have left for para jobs in Basking Ridge, for a neighboring district who pays about $10 more an hour. So I'd just like to ask the Board of Education to please consider increasing the salary for paraprofessionals to a rate that would be competitive with our neighboring districts so we can recruit and retain the amazing staff that we've always had at Bedwell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Shepard, 16 Ambar Place, Burnsville. I'm going to talk about transgenderism tonight. I want to know how transgenderism became the cause celebre to be played out on the playing fields of our schools. How did this get to be okay? Who said we've been in a war with transgender people who apparently have been discriminated against? I'm furious. Who's responsible for this bogus war? What is it really about? It's you, the illustrious Board of Education in Burnsville. It's the outrageously powerful teachers union, governor, and the federal government under socialist, liberal, Democrat rule. You, in league with the union, the governor and the federal government have told us suddenly out of nowhere and during the dark days of COVID, you and they have put your hands around our necks and told us transgenderism is the cause numero uno of our schools. You've rearranged our libraries, changed the pronouns, and how to assign yourself an identity that makes absolutely no sense. How did sex and transgenderism get a place over reading, writing, math, English, and critical thinking? In preparing to go before the board this past year to speak on to this bogus Trojan horse gift, I read up on the history of the Communist Party. Do you know they wanted to make inroads into America? They especially were interested in doing so in the 1960s. They held off when they saw how successful Martin Luther King was in his fight for equality. They then made their foray into our universities and institutions of higher learning. Transgender discrimination is a fake and a fraud. We've had introduced into our society by way of our schools, thanks to the union and federal government, the vehicle by which those who want to see America fail and become just another wretched country like Venezuela, Cuba, and Argentina. The one world order is planting seeds in Burnsville. And I feel like I'm some sort of crazy woman saying all this, but I'm not a crazy woman. You may not agree with me. Why don't we err on the side of teaching our kids the normal courses and save the bogus transgender discrimination for those who have no better things to do? This is one course of study that is not about sex discrimination, but about putting a wedge between parent and child, drumming up identity confusion, and taking power out of the hands of parents. Why would any parent want the school to become responsible for whether or not a child is of the correct gender? Thank you. Barbara Long, Lloyd Road. And I've got to say that we have the teachers dorm in Ridge High. And I have 2 grandchildren, one who
was in, which I now graduated, I would not be having to give this speech if I lived in Bernards Township, which is really heart-wrenching to me since my kids went to this school. Randy Weingarten is thought by many to be the most dangerous person to the future of the United States. Now, it's not any Chinese leader, but Randy, because she's tampering with the lives of our children, the future of America. You, this BOE, are puppets of hers, and equally as guilty. For persons in the field of education, I would have expected you to know the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The convention of many states, after the ratification of the Constitution, wanted to make sure there would not be abuse of power or restrictive clauses added. Their meeting resulted in the First Amendment, ratified by 3/4 of the legislature, to become an amendment to the Constitution on December 15, 1791, the right of freedom of speech. The right of freedom of speech allows individuals to express themselves without government interference or regulation. Freedom of expression is a fundamental human right. This is widely considered the most important as it reinforces all other human rights. The mandatory use of specific pronouns restricts the right of freedom of speech. Demanding the use of pronouns by Somerset Hills School District teachers and students restricts their First Amendment rights of freedom of speech. Further consideration, and equally important, is what you are not allowed to say: obscenities, fighting words, defamation, and child pornography. For teachers, all of the above includes all of the above, but also includes comments with sexual overtones and distribution of or discussion of any pornography. Do your new sex standards constitute child pornography? You're puppets of the most dangerous path that this country is taking, yet you have the chance to do something positive. Uphold the First Amendment, freedom of speech, or you're going to follow Randy Weingarten as she destroys America. I advocate for any new teacher to opt out of joining the union, thus enabling he or she to uphold the First Amendment and save our children.
All right, who's ready to talk about lights and field? Well, thank you. My name is Sean Lavity. You'll know me from 16 Embar Place, also in Burnsville. So thank you very much for the update in terms of the turf. So that's good news that the turf is going forward. It just seems to many of us that in this process of putting up the turf, it makes sense to finally, install permanent lighting. Like alluded to before, there's solutions now that make a lot of sense. We're all here to work with you to make it happen. Funding is always an issue. We should get to the table as soon as possible to work on fundraising. That's an option. Whatever it takes to get it done. It's been on the strategic plan, everybody says, for 15 years. So we really kicked it down the road for quite a while. So I think it's time we finally act. Let's get on the phone tomorrow with the land use attorney, whoever we need to talk to. Let's get the ball rolling. So in January, we're ready to go. And the turf, if it gets done, I'm guessing it's still June, you said, after the frost, I'm guessing. So we really got to plan. God forbid there's some kind of delay or something and we can't get it done. We're going to do all those fall sports teams, for practicing, those kinds of things. So I really think we have an opportunity. I'm sitting looking around at this beautiful media center that we've invested in. Right? We invested in this beautiful PAC center down the hall. We are in Burnsville, Somerset Hills. We deserve the best facilities, both academic, which I think we have, and now it's time to invest in athletic facilities. So thank you for your time, and let's vote the lights.
Good evening. Brad Ike, 60 Stonefence Road, Burnsville. First, thank you to all the board members, those I agree with and those that provide a different perspective. Thank you for the hours that you volunteer, and thank you for the impact you make on our community. The remarks I plan to make pertain to school Board member Robert Baker. Let me start off by saying that I respect and appreciate the work he has done for the community and for the district during his years of service on this board. I was proud to vote for him in the past election as well. But I must ask that when issues related to replacing or lighting the turf field are discussed, that Mr. Baker recuse himself from that discussion and abstain from any votes. Mr. Baker's personal residence is located in this neighborhood, only a few hundred feet away from the Alcott Field facility. He has previously been a leader of an organization that sued the district to prevent the installation of the turf and lights, and that lawsuit delayed progress here by more than a decade. When Mr. Baker joined the board in 2008, he recused himself from issues relating to the turf, saying that he had a personal conflict. School board ethics rules require him to be recused from official board business when he has a conflict of interest, which he previously admitted to. He does, and I believe still does. Again, as someone who supports Mr. Baker and believes the community has benefited from his participation on this board, I'm respectfully requesting that he be recused from issues relating to the turf and the lights. Thank you very much for giving me the time.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Stanek. I'm also known as Mr. X. I'm a paraprofessional at Bedwell. I'm also the only male paraprofessional and the only veteran paraprofessional at Bedwell, which is a longer story. But I'm here to support those who support us. My understanding is that we have a contract that we can't really come together on. One of the biggest stumbling blocks is the fact that the paras are significantly underpaid. Okay, even though we're probably the most likely to be assaulted, which I was, have racist comments made to them, and harmful threats to them, in which many times the administration didn't really do anything. Okay, and that's well documented. Okay, so we're at risk of that. And I'll tell you a little story about my Thanksgiving. I went to Thanksgiving, and I have a niece who is a freshman in high school, and she babysits. And she said, "Hey, Uncle Gary, guess what? I got a job babysitting." I'm like, "Great. I make $20 an hour." And I said to myself, "Oh, I'm a veteran. I'm 62 years old, and I make $2 less an hour than my niece who babysits. That is pathetic when you have over in Mansfield Village, all the parents were leaving to go where it's more money." Now, I knew 2 children went through this school district. I subbed in every one of these schools before I became a full-time paraprofessional. Okay? I've coached at the high school level here as a volunteer coach, and also I've coached at the middle school level. Okay? So I love this school, I love this district, and I certainly love all the teachers that are mostly over here that go and stick up for me and all the other parents. Okay? And it's not fair to them to not have to hold the contract over if you don't want to pay us a few extra dollars. But meanwhile, you want a turf field, you want lights, oh, we're birds, we should get this, and all this other stuff you pour money into. How about pouring money into the people that are going to take care of things? Okay? And as an aside, I was a few minutes late, came back from the dentist's office. Dental checkup, no cavities, thank you. But anyway, I missed the beginning. Was there any reference made to what happened 20 years ago? No? Everyone knows what happened 20 years ago, right? Okay, 20 years ago is when the Sandy Hook Massacre took place. Okay?
Exactly.
Or 10 years ago, I'm sorry. Thank you. That's why I'm just a para teacher. Okay? But I just wanted to say, I hope we all reflect on that. I hope it never happens or anything close to that ever happens here. Thank you for your time. I know my time's up.
Good evening. Mark Stevens, 26 Highway Street. First, I want to thank the board, the educators, and the paraprofessionals for all they do for our students. I just want to reinforce some of the comments made earlier about the athletic facilities. Mike Long, I think my friend and colleague, did an exemplary job laying it out. I'm not going to be as eloquent as him. I just wanted to share a couple of quick anecdotes from personal experience. And I'm proud of this town. I think we have an amazing school, I know we have amazing students.
So I was working the sideline, the change of the first down markers at two separate high school games this past fall. I'm a senior and a freshman, I'm a third grader. And, you know, I've traveled around to a lot of schools around the town. And I was appalled and embarrassed. Not one, but two different games. Referees said something to me to the effect of, wow, this is a nice placement. I mean, this is the worst athletic facility in the state. And, oh my God, these lights are so bad. It's almost unsafe these kids to be out there. As a proud resident of this town, you know, I was embarrassed. I think we have to take a look at that. I appreciate it's in the strategic plan. I've heard that since I've been in the loop on these conversations, which is about 10 years. And I haven't really seen much move. So hopefully now's the time, you know, I want to make sure our voices are heard. That's why we're here. I don't want to repeat stuff, so I try to keep it short. But like I said, we have great students, we have great teachers, we have a great board. Let's have the best facilities. Thank you.
John Donahue, 16 South Green. Sorry, I'm back.
Mr. Donahue, just hold up 1 second. I just want to make sure that everyone who wants to speak had a chance before we start our second round. Mr. Donahue,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
yeah, I didn't know where to cue.
Yeah, nor do I.
Thank you.
Just to let me know, I don't think I need a microphone too much. 180 seconds, I'll do my best. There's so much to do as a teacher, as a coach. I think this is an amazing school, and this is one that I hope to end my career in. I would always say to my students, let's agree to disagree, and to advocate, and to talk, and share with others. But I want you to know that I have taught at 6 other schools. And this is a Shangri-La because of the students, the colleagues, the paraprofessionals, the custodians, the support staff. In no other school where I've ever taught yearly $20 bills found in the hole and a student will return it. Just this year at the book fair, Katie, a 7th grader, did that. That doesn't happen in other schools on a constant basis. I am a big fan of Basking Ridge next door to us and all the other schools. But I will tell you that Sandy Hook is a reminder. We have not had suicides of students in our district, yet around us we do. Let's remember that there are pressures on our student athletes. We all know about COVID. We know the impact. So as a teacher, last year I didn't get to come and sing the praises of the VFW winners. So last year, Vanessa Moffett in 8th grade, thanks to Mr. Porter and all the teachers she had in prior years, she won the VFW. In 7th grade, Kristen Lee, for the 2nd consecutive year, won. She happened to be one of my students. Penny Christie, with the help of Miss Wells, won last year as a 6th grader. Victoria DeVito represented Burnsville Middle School for the teen media. She was a poetry, her poem was entered. I believe she was the only non-magnet school student representing in Trenton, and unfortunately we were in states, the tennis team, which I also coach. I would do anything for this district. I'm 804 Timberbrook Drive. I moved into the district after my in-laws made the rest in peace stuff. I thank God that I have a profession that I consider as number 2 to being a parent. These students inspire me each and every day. I pinch myself when I see some of the parents come up here, and I think, thank you for all that you did to make these wonderful students. This is a phenomenal job. And when I started in 2002 here, second career to be a teacher, we didn't have a contract. I would love for us to have a contract. We have student athletes. The student comes first. I want all the facilities for our students. And just FYI, Vince Spitaleri, Bedminster, and Neil China, they were first team for tennis, Group 1. Unfortunately, you don't find out about this until July 1st. My time is just about run out. Thank you to all the board members. Whether I agree with you or not, you're amazing for donating your time. And I'm going to so miss Dr. Dempsey, who, if I email her at 2 a.m. or whatever, she's always there. She is cerebral, intelligent, just like all my colleagues here. It's a loss. Whether you agree with her or not, you got to respect that is one brilliant woman. And she has done her very best for all of these students who have come through here. And I can't say enough about the administration at Burnsville Middle School, for any parent whose student has ever had. I'm a work in progress. I'm beyond my time. I will try to continue to improve so that I can be a better teacher for all of your children in the future. Thank you for giving me this opportunity and for an extra 21 cents. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And congratulations again. And you are such an inspiration to so many of our students and parents and families. So thank you. We appreciate it.
Okay, so if there is no one else that wants to speak for a first time, we can open the mic up for
Mr. Donahue?
Mr. Donahue.
Just, John Donahue, 16 South Street. Just, today I understand the Navy was here. The day before, the Marines were here. And I asked this because my high school student is interested in a career in the military, considering enlisting after graduation. But he didn't know they were going to be here. So if ever the Armed Forces was going to be here, can you kind of make a more public announcement? Because he wouldn't have missed this. You know, he did happen fine if he walked by the cafeteria, saw some Marines standing in there and went and talked to them. But, you know, if the Armed Forces recruiters over here, can you please make a bigger deal of it? Because there's probably a lot more kids that would consider a career in the military, or will consider enlisting. I mean, if you want to go to college for free, he was talking to a recruiter now, to join the Jersey Guard, to go to public schools, it's basically free. So if they're going to be here, make it a deal of it. A lot of kids might not consider it until they talk to the recruiters. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Okay, so before we begin this evening, I do just want to recognize and thank Ms. Holly Clark-Emery for your service on the board this year. I know you have provided valuable input, and we certainly appreciate all you did, and wish you the best moving forward. So thank you very much. I apologize. I need to close public comments. Can I close public comments, please? Motion? Okay, yes, we're going to move into supplementary now. So my apologies, I skipped that. Okay, you got the motion. Okay, so now we will move into supplementary matters. If any board members have any comments? Okay, and then I also, okay, and can I'm going to just jump in and thank Sarah as well, because I keep forgetting, unfortunately, you're not coming back to us at this point, and you have been a wonderful asset to our district as a representative of the Prime Minister, and we truly appreciate your thoughtfulness and your very calm demeanor that has always helped us further discussions and move things forward. So thank you very much. And Holly, absolutely.
I just wanted to begin by saying a big warm thank you to all members of the board, moms, dads, teachers, the administration, the police officers, the faculty, and the our support staff. This has been an amazing opportunity. I know it's only been a year, but I have served alongside such incredibly talented, smart people. And even though my time is coming to a close, I'm super confident that we will continue to move forward to better education needs for all of us. Just starting with our beloved teachers, even though I don't know all the nuances that's happening right now, I'm confident knowing that our teachers are the foundation of our school community. It is with that we would not have this rock solid education that we currently have. With that being said, I strongly urge our board to continue to look at the health agenda, especially for our younger children. I know, they always tell me opt out, but I believe it's much more greater than that. We can really look beyond the layers, and not only will this have a great effect on our little ones, but it's a setup for confusion. This will lay heavily on our teachers who are This in addition to their already well-burdened education schedule. There are educators, there are social workers, there are mentors, there are learning facilitators, there are paraprofessionals, there are special educators, resource providers, and now we added, as I would like to say, like a parent kind of role. This agenda is not an academic, and our rankings are already at 55 according to the U.S. Rankings report. Adding this, I don't think is going to help us strengthen our academic performance and see what we need to have within for our students. Just overall, just some cooler numbers. We have some inroads ahead to bring our township back to where it deserves to be, and we need to remain focused and have clear goals and pragmatic solutions to get there. No one is breaking the law by voting what one feels is the right thing to do on behalf of our children. And if that vote turns out to be a no, it is all right. And I didn't have anybody else saying this, but I already had it here, like our freedom of speech, First Amendment. We have the right to voice our ideas for what is right for our children and for our families here in this community. We need to be careful about what's coming down the pipe. I'm just saying, as far as the government and what they feel is best, and if it's not academic, we need to pay attention. Finally, just maintaining our dedication to support our parents, our safety and wellness, our excellence within our schools, especially those that have any matters to contribute to our community without fear of retaliation or anything along our children. What I mean by that is this is a safe place for us to be, especially at our board meetings. No one should ever feel attacked or bullied or that they can't show up or in fear that they can't speak freely for their own benefit on behalf of their family or children. And we have to continue to provide a safe environment for everyone. And I just want to thank you teachers for all that you do and are going to do on behalf of our children. Thank you to the HSA for continually running a tight ship and providing safe and fun and well-received events. And once again, my board members, it's been an incredible journey and I've learned so much. And I'll be writing that tell-all book very soon. So, wishing everyone just a happy and blessed Christmas, happy Hanukkah, and a safe and wonderful New Year. So thank you guys.
Anybody else want to talk about matters?
I have one more thank you for Sam for stepping in last month on very short notice and running the meeting and really taking on a lot of activities that we have ongoing as board members. So she really stepped in and helped out, like I said, with very short notice and did an excellent job. So I really appreciate that. I know she's not here, but I did want to just publicly thank her for taking over for me when I needed that support. So, and I hope that everybody has a wonderful holiday season. We are appreciative to all of our staff, our administration, and our parents and students, and we wish everybody a safe, healthy, happy holiday season. We'll see everybody in the new year. Can I get a motion to close? Thank you, everyone.
How do you like the talk of a 30-seater?
I like it.